Okay. Good evening. My name is Stephen Presnall. I'm the Director of Finance and Operations for Southwick Tallinn Granville Regional School District. I'm filling in this evening. Actually, I like to say, under the circumstance, I'm pinch hitting for Superintendent Willard, who was unable to be here tonight because her son is participating in the Division III Baseball College World Series in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Eastern Connecticut is actually about, I think they are 6 outs away from winning the World Series. So hopefully they can hang on and pull that out. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. This meeting of the Southwick Tallinn Granville Regional School Committee is being audio recorded. Amy, are you going to handle the attendance? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
We're all set.
We're all set. All right, good. If I could ask all present here to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So the reason I'm kind of kicking things off here is because we have the election of school committee officers this evening. So we're going to begin tonight's meeting with that. So at this time, I open the floor for nominations for school committee chairperson for the term commencing immediately. That's today, June 7th, 2022. Is there any nominations for school committee chair?
I'd like to nominate Rob Stevenson.
Second.
Are there any other nominations for school committee chair? All right, if there are no further nominations, I will call the vote. Start to my left. Erica.
Yes.
Ted.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Pat.
Yes.
Pam.
Yes.
Rob.
Abstain.
All right, so the
Well, don't forget John.
oh, and John.
Yes.
So that motion carries 6-0 with one abstention. And we have none opposed. So Mr. Stevenson is the chair for the school committee for the next term. As you cast the gavel.
Backlighting over again. Although we've never had to use the gavel yet, so.
Just do it.
No, I don't want
Go
to use,
ahead.
no, I'm not
Do
breaking
it.
any, we're not jinxing anything. All right, so now I don't have the luxury of having the script, but at this point, we need to elect a vice chairman. So I'm going to open the floor for nominations for vice chairman. If I can get a nomination.
I'd like to nominate Pam.
Can I get a second for that?
A second.
Are there any other nominations for vice chairman? All right, without any, we'll take a roll call vote to elect Pam as vice chairman. And I'll start with John so that we don't forget him. John,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Pam.
I guess I'll abstain since you did. I'd be happy to vote for
So
myself.
Rob's a, I don't think we need to, so that's why. Rob's a yes, so the motion passes 6-0 with one abstention. And Pam is now elected as vice chairman for the upcoming school year. We now need to move on and elect a secretary for the school committee. I'm going to open the floor for nominations for secretary. Anybody has a nomination?
I'll nominate Ryan for secretary.
I'm sensing
Are we gonna
a trend
keep the
here.
same people?
Is there any, any other nominations for secretary? Which I did read in the details, it does say they don't need to be part of the school committee, which is interesting. Yeah, it's interesting, but no other nominations, we will move forward with a vote to elect Ryan. John,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Ted.
Yes.
Ryan,
Guess I abstain.
Pat,
Yes.
Pam,
Yeah.
Rob's a yes, motion passes 6-0 with one abstention. All right, so we are through the technical portion of the events this evening. Steve, you did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so we are on to Secretary's report. In your packets are the minutes from our May 17th meeting. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Any questions on the minutes?
No.
All right, if there are any questions, I will do a roll call vote to accept the minutes. Pam,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Rob's a yes, motion passes 7-0-0. All right, let's make sure. Warrants, we got warrants going around and they're stuck in my spot, so I will take care of those shortly. Mr. Presnell, since you're pitch hitting, do you have any correspondence to report for this evening?
Nothing that I was made aware of, Mr. Chairman, so I better look through here really quick.
I don't believe there was anything in here.
No.
Amy's supporting your,
Thank
that
you.
there's no
Thank
information
you,
there.
Amy.
All right, so we are gonna go on to our first public comment session. Anyone willing to make a public comment, it should be here in person. Will be allowed 3 minutes to present their material and begin by stating their name and address. Total time is 15 minutes. I don't think we're gonna run into that tonight. Is there anybody that's here for public comment?
Yes, my name is Grace Hannah and I go to Southwick High School and I'm here to speak for Mr. Lopez. I was informed that he will not be rehired for the coming year. And I'm here to vouch for him because I feel that there's no reason why he shouldn't be rehired. He's the whole reason that I wanted to take Spanish 3, and because of him, in just 2 semesters, I feel as though I can confidently speak Spanish, and this is the first time that I've been able to do that in all of my years taking Spanish. Many others have expressed frustration that he will not be rehired. He doesn't hand out A's, so he's not like laid back. He doesn't hand out F's either. He challenges you in a healthy way, so you do learn. He goes above and beyond for students. If you see him during the day, he'll be talking and just engaging with the students, even if it isn't about Spanish. He makes everyone feel welcomed. He plays with the students outside during break, and he just engages with everyone. And most importantly, he made me want to learn. So that's like the best quality in a teacher that you can have. So I just really, really hope that it's reconsidered that he's rehired, because he's one of the best teachers that I've ever had, not just for Spanish.
Thank you very much, Grace. Well done. All right, anybody else for public comment? All right, we will move forward. Student advisory report. Ms. Coviello, you have anything for us this evening?
I sure
There was a
do.
couple things that's happened the last 7 days.
Yeah. I have a couple things. First, congrats to all the seniors who graduated last Saturday. The speeches were great. Even though Annette's not here, she really helped me this year. And my gym class has been really lonely playing 4-on-4 football. So. But anyways, going into sports, on May 26th, the track team went to the divisional state championship, in which my brother, Matthew Coviello, placed 8th in the state in triple jump. And Jake Buckler placed 6th in the boys javelin with a throw of 139 feet. And then on the girls' side, the girls 4x8 team ran a 10:56 minute 4x8 and broke the school record, which had been held since 2015.
Fantastic.
And then beginning yesterday was the annual decathlon, in which well-rounded athletes from each track team in Western Mass compete in a total of 7 events over the 2 days. And so far, as of earlier today, the 3 competing were placed at 3rd, 6th, and 20th, and the boys team is 2nd overall. And then the boys volleyball team came in 2nd in the Western Mass Championships, and just yesterday, the baseball team won 12-4 in the first round of the state tournament. And students are definitely ready for the last day of school. And I would also like to note that today I saw the elementary schools doing their field day, and I really think we should bring that up, even the bounce house.
I was at the bounce house all day today.
Okay.
It was
So
a
you would
blast.
like to put a motion forward at some
A
point
motion for a
to
bounce
have
house.
field day at the high school?
Yeah, so.
Okay.
yeah.
There's a couple representatives from the school here, so they might hear that.
And science MCAS is this week, and today and tomorrow, and then iReady is next week.
Fantastic. And I just have to say, you did a phenomenal job with the baton and the direction of all the
Thank you.
seniors
Yeah.
at the
They,
the thing.
yeah,
and I will second the graduation ceremony was great. The speeches were great. Mr. Tramel's speech was very well done. I was very impressed. Everybody did a fantastic job. So kudos to everybody.
Can I say, I was at Woodlands Field Day today, and which we haven't had since what, 2019?
yeah.
So I had a great time with all the kids, all the Woodland staff were so much fun. Everyone was smiling and having a wonderful time. It was a great,
Yeah.
great day to be back at school. And I was at the bounce house all day and they had a great time. Sure they
They
did.
did a great job too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Marissa. We look forward to this going forward.
Yep.
All right, awesome. All right, educational presentation. First up, we have a presentation via Zoom on iReady. Elise DeRosa is with us, I believe.
Yes. Hi, everybody. How are you all doing?
Fantastic.
Great. Do I have permissions to share? Yeah, I just need permission to share my screen.
Amy is on that.
Thank you,
Well-
Amy. So I had a chance to spend the day with some of the leaders from the different schools. I forget exactly the date, but it was last week, and it was a wonderful day. I got to let them dig into the data and just discuss what, student performance and the growth of your students. So today I just wanted to show you guys what iReady is and what the diagnostic looks like, and then the lessons that come with it. So I'm first going to show you how our assessment is adaptive, and just how it works. So let me just note. So how does an adaptive assessment work? Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yep.
Perfect. So when students take an assessment for the first time, so at the beginning of the school year, they're going to start one grade level below. And then as they start answering questions, so if they answer a question correctly, it'll get a little more challenging. If they answer it correctly again, it'll get a little bit more challenging. But then if they answer it incorrectly, it will become a little bit easier until it eventually finds their actual proficiency levels. Now, it's not as quickly as that. It might take a little bit for it to adjust. But the whole idea is that everybody learns differently, and we will give them like really challenging questions, maybe 2 grade levels above, just to get it to, it's almost like a seesaw, to let the program figure out what is their actual level. And the reason for this is because when the assessment is done, students are given lessons through what we call personalized instruction. So they go into their online portal and they're given lessons in areas where they show areas of need. So while the teachers are busy with grade level instruction, the online lessons will address those needs of the students based on what they did on the diagnostic. Now, we expect students to take 3 diagnostics throughout the year. One in the fall, one in the winter, and then one by the end of the year. I just heard a young lady there say they're taking it next week for the high schoolers. The only difference is for the high school, we do not yet have personalized instruction, but hopefully that will be in the near future. But for K through 8, we do have those lessons for them. This is a very quick version for you guys. So if there's questions at the end, let me know. So these are the areas where they're tested in reading. We have phonics, phonological awareness, high frequency words, vocabulary, and then 2 comprehension components. And then these are the domains that they're tested in math, algebra and algebraic thinking, and numbers and operations, which are foundational skills, and then geometry and measurement and data. And so before we go into the simulator and I show you what that diagnostic looks like, students get an overall score, but they also get a score in each domain. So the overall score is just an average of all 4 of those. Because we believe they might do a really, really wonderful job in geometry and measurement and data, but struggle in numbers and operations, and they deserve celebration in those areas of strength. So right now, I am going to show you the diagnostic simulator. This is what I use in trainings for teachers to get a feel of what the diagnostic is like. You are welcome to sign in with me if you want to do it on your own. If you want to screenshot that simulator, you're welcome to play around with it too. Otherwise, I'm going to just show you on myself. So I have it up somewhere. Sorry, give me 1 second. Thanks for being patient. I can't find the right screen. I'm sorry. Oh, don't know why. Here we go. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm going to show you a third grade lesson. I'm sorry, diagnostic. And I'm going to answer some questions incorrectly, some correctly, just to see how it jumps back and forth. This is a very abridged version. Students will have a much longer version of this, but this is just a quick, so you can see what it's like. So let me just move this out of the way. All right. So they choose a subject. What was that?
I said, hopefully the third graders can read that when that comes up as a description.
It speaks to, they won't have to read that screen. That was just for us, so the teachers can see that. They don't have paragraphs that way. And also students, most of it is read to them. There's little buttons where they can press for them to have the questions and the answers read to them. So I'm going to do math. And we'll have a math dot, and they'll get a button like this. So it's very simple. They don't have to read anything. They just click this button here. And it brings them, and this will talk them. I just don't have the sound. Can you guys hear it?
I'm in the 6th grade.
Yep.
And I
Perfect.
knew I had to take a diagnostic.
The results of the diagnostic decide what lessons you get. The diagnostic shows what you know and what you need to work on.
I remember the last diagnostic I took. It was hard.
The diagnostic will feel challenging. You may see questions you may not know how to answer because you haven't learned them.
There were some questions I knew, and some questions I didn't know. But I didn't give up. I did my best and moved on. When I finished, I got lessons that were right for me.
The diagnostic is not a typical test. Not all students will see the same questions. Every student should expect to get around half the questions correct. That's okay.
Some of my friends rushed and did not get lessons that were right for them. They wanted to know how I did it. Here are 5 things I shared with them. 1, I didn't give up. 2,
I'm going to skip that part for the sake of time. Students cannot skip that. They have to watch that tutorial. It's something that teachers can actually watch with them as well. We have training videos for the teachers to use for engagement. And then something else that they cannot skip are going through all these tools. So it teaches them how to use tools. But I wanted to jump in so you can see the types of questions. So which number makes this equation true? And then they'd have to look. Third grade, they may or may not know their times tables, but it will give them something a bit challenging. I'm just going to click away. Anybody want to shout out the answer? 7 times what gives you 42? Good job. So do you see these little buttons here? I know somebody mentioned students having to read it. They have all these buttons for each of the questions and the question answers. So if you have a student taking this math assessment and they're just not a good reader, we want to make sure we're assessing their math and not their reading. So then these are a bit longer. We don't have to read through it. I'm just going to, guess and move along. So that got a little challenging because they answered the first question correctly. And so this too, we don't have to really do these. I'm just clicking through so you can see. And then there's, word problems with pictures. Everything can be read. We do.
Joey has 12 rocks. Billy has 9 rocks.
So yeah, that might not be quiet.
Number of rocks is Joey. How many more
1
rocks
second.
does Billy need?
Okay. So as the assessment goes through, remember at a few slides ago, I showed you the different domains. In between each of those domains that they're assessed on, so they're done doing numbers and operations, they'll get a little game to give them a brain break, and then they'll move on. The assessment normally takes like an hour and a half-ish. We do recommend breaking it up in sections, so they're not sitting there in one sitting, even all the way up to high school. It's a long time for them to sit there. Students can track their progress. So see, it says that we're 80% complete. It will not go this quickly for the students. But again, this is just to give you an idea. If you would like, I can leave you with this website. So if you want to go on and play later, feel free. And that's really all that I wanted to show you for this part. And then I mentioned before, after the students are done with the diagnostic, they are given lessons based on their needs. So I just pulled up a sample lesson that a student may get. And this one is, I forget what it's about, but we'll see in a second. I forget the title of it. So can you guys see my screen okay?
Yeah.
And write numbers up to 1 million. Find the value of each digit in numbers up to 1 million.
And so they'll get these arrows and move them through. It really scaffolds them.
Start with 7,000.
So it brings them through the lesson. And again, it reads it to them.
Complete the table to show each number in standard form.
So students, this is very accessible to students. They can type it onto their keyboard. They can use this keyboard on the screen. They can just type it in the space here. And what I love, it also gives them the vocabulary. So if they don't know what standard form is and their teacher's busy with another group, they can just click on that button and it brings them to the vocabulary term. So all of our lessons are interactive. We have them for all the way up to 8th grade and hopefully eventually high school. I know you guys don't have a ton of time. So are there any questions of how iReady works or what can be expected for your students or teachers? All right. I hope I was able to share enough to give you somewhat of an idea of what it does. And I thank you for having me and enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye. All right. Okay. Now we have our auditors report. Powers and Sullivan are on via Zoom. Frank and Elizabeth, I believe, are with us.
Yep.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you for having us tonight. We appreciate the opportunity to present the results of the district's fiscal 2021 audit. Let Elizabeth introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. This is my 3rd year working on the audit. I'm the senior auditor, which just means I'm in charge of facilitating the flow of information from Steve Presnell and Michelle Grise to our audit team in order to get the audit complete.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'd just like to start off by thanking the superintendent, the director of finance and operations, the treasurer, the district accountant, and the rest of the finance team for all of the cooperation and assistance that we received during the course of the audit. There's a lot of information that we request, and there's a lot of work that goes into putting it all together and answering our questions and getting us everything we need. And they've always done that in a very professional and courteous manner and put together a really great audit package for us. And it really, made the audit go smoothly from our standpoint. I hope that we were able to help make things go smoothly from their standpoint as well. We try to not interfere with their operations, and a lot of the information that we request is stuff that they're producing in the normal course of what they do on a day-to-day basis. So we try to be as unobtrusive as we can be and still get the work done. We do the work in 2 different phases. We do the first phase we consider to be our preliminary work, and that happened in mid-July. And then we were back out for our year-end work in mid-December. For the preliminary work, we're usually testing transactions, auditing federal awards, we're auditing the budget, we're auditing debt. We're trying to get as much done as we can to try to get a head start on the year-end work. And then when we come in for the year-end audit work, we're completing all of our year-end audit procedures, and then we're assisting with drafting and preparing the audit reports. You want to go to the first slide, Elizabeth? Are you sharing your screen yet? you can pull that
Not
up,
yet.
that'd be great. So you should. Yeah. Can you make that a little bigger? Or is that about the best we'll do?
I think it's the best it's gonna do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to advance to the next slide there. Yep. So the principal objective of our work as the auditors is to express an opinion on the financial statements. We perform the audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards issued by the United States of America, and also government auditing standards issued by the Comptroller General of the United States. We plan to perform the audit to obtain reasonable but not absolute assurance that the financial statements are free of material misstatement and fairly presented in accordance with US generally accepted accounting principles, or GAAP. And then management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements. As part of conducting the audit, we meet with district staff to understand how they process transactions, how they identify and to identify and test the related internal controls. We test transactions in the receipt, disbursement, journal entry, procurement cycles, all those different cycles. We also test payroll. We do about 25 transactions in each of those cycles. And so that is part of the cumbersome work that comes out of the audit, pulling all the supporting documentation for those transactions, which that was done for us. We reviewed all those transactions. We found that they were being processed in accordance with the district's policies and procedures, that the transactions were being properly classified on the ledger. There was proper approvals in place when we looked at the supporting documentation, and there was adequate supporting documentation for them. So we didn't find any deficiencies or any concerns in any of our reviews of that. No issues whatsoever. We also tested the amounts and disclosures in the financial statements and assisted with drafting the financial statements. So that includes everything as you walk down the balance sheet, the cash, the receivables, the fixed assets, the accounts payable, the other post-employment benefits liability, the net pension liability, and then we really perform substantive procedures on those, which means that we go in and we review all the bank reconciliations, we obtain all the bank reconciliations, and we verify that all the cash balances tie out and they're properly supported. Same thing with all the receivables. So we really verify all the documentation around those assets and liabilities to make sure that they're properly stated. Based on all of our audit work, we were able to issue an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That's a clean opinion. It's the best you can get. It means the financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Reporting deadlines were met. The information that we received was accurate. We didn't have to propose any adjustments to correct any errors that we might have found during the course of the audit, because we didn't find anything that was material or significant enough to warrant proposing an adjustment. So what that means is that your books and records are being maintained accurately throughout the year, and the information that's being provided from your system is accurate and can be relied upon. And as I mentioned, all of our interactions were professional and courteous, and we got timely responses to all of our questions, which we appreciate. This slide talks about management's responsibilities. I'll just go through some of these. Management's responsible for the fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with GAAP, establishing and maintaining effective internal controls to ensure that significant transactions are properly reflected in financial statements, identifying and ensuring that the district complies with applicable laws and regulations related to its activities, making all financial records available to us for the audit. We didn't have any issues getting the information that we requested, performing procedures to ensure the appropriate valuation of assets and liabilities. No issues there. Identifying contingent liabilities to ensure that they're assessed and appropriately reflected in the financial statements if applicable. And that would typically be something like a litigation or some type of a judgment. And that would be something that would have to be likely in nature, that it was going to result in a liability and reasonably estimated. There was nothing that needed to be reported in the 21 financial statements, but they were considered. And then I'll let you read the last bullet there. I'm going to skip over that one. I'm going to move to the next slide, Elizabeth. And this just talks about our responsibilities as the auditors, again, is to express an opinion on the financial statements, obtaining an understanding of internal control, to plan the audit, to determine the timing, nature, and extent of audit procedures to be performed. The audit is not designed to provide assurance on internal control or identify reportable conditions. We're responsible for ensuring that the school committee is aware of any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, and we're responsible for communicating those matters that come to our attention as a result of performing the audit. If there were any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses that came to our attention, we would have reported those to you back at the time when we discovered them. And we did not discover any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. And so there was nothing to report in that regard. And we did go over the financial statements in detail with the Director of Finance and Operations and the District Accountant. Next section is some financial highlights for you. First thing I wanted to talk about was the general fund balance, and that can be seen on page 14 of the financial statements if you're interested in taking a look at that. But the fund balance total $2.7 million, 121,000 of that is committed for the capital stabilization fund. That's required to be reported in the general fund as a component of the general fund for the financial statements. And then another $824,000 of fund balance was assigned. Of that, 141,000 relates to encumbrances, and those represent open purchase orders at the end of the year. And then another 875,000 of excess and deficiency was voted to fund fiscal 2022 appropriations. And that left you with $1.5 million of unassigned fund balance. And that number, the unassigned fund balance, generally will approximate your E&D balance. And it's really kind of the starting point for the E&D calculation. Well, there's a slide on E&D that we'll get to in a couple more slides. Next slide is general fund operations. And if you wanted to look on page 48 of the financial statements, you'd see that there's a budget to actual schedule there. And that's where this information is being pulled from. And so your operations resulted in a $624,000 increase in fund balance. And that is due to your revenues exceeding your budget by $50,000. And that's mainly due to $73,000 of miscellaneous revenue that was received. And then your expenditures and encumbrances were 1.2 million less than budgeted. And that was really across a number of line items in the budget. And I just listed out the most significant ones here: district administration, the high school, special education, student transportation, and employee benefits. And then those increases were offset by the use of $800,000 of E&D that was used to balance the FY21 budget. Excess and deficiency, it's subject to review and approval by the Department of Revenue, can be appropriated for any valid school purpose through the budget process. It was certified at 1.3 million as of 6/30/21. And then the statute allows the district to maintain a balance not to exceed 5% of the subsequent year's budget. And then any excess over that is required to be returned to the member communities. Slide is talking about the OPEB liability, which totaled $25.3 million as of June 30th, 2021. That is mainly health insurance for retirees. It was a decrease of $7.8 million from the prior year. The decrease is mainly attributable to changes in assumptions. And those are changes that were made by the actuary when doing the actuarial valuation report. And the most significant changes were lowering the per capita healthcare cost assumption and future trends on those costs, lowering the active enrollment assumption, updating the mortality scale to be consistent with the retirement systems that your employees are members of, lowering the discount rate to 2.16%, was previously 2.21. And that discount rate, because of the level of funding you have, is required to follow and be based on a AA municipal bond rate, which I consider to be a risk-free rate. And the actuary used the bond buyer 20 municipal index to determine that rate. I also had a bullet in here about discount rate sensitivity, and that's something that you would see on page 41 in the footnote, one of the OPEB footnotes. And what that note does is it tells you what a 1% increase or a 1% decrease, what effect that would have on your net OPEB liability. And so you can see here that a 1% increase in the rate would reduce the net OPEB liability by $3.5 million. And so if you were interested in trying to lower your OPEB liability, that's something that you could talk to your actuary about, and they could run different scenarios for you and let you know what you would have to contribute to the OPEB trust to be able to qualify for a blended rate. And that's when they take the risk-free rate, and then they can give you, they take a look at how much money you have in your OPEB trust. And right now you've got a balance of $349,000. And that is not enough to get you up to where you're able to, start utilizing a risk or blended rate. And so we've seen, different things, probably more with towns where they might make a commitment to, use their appropriation for pension. Once the pension system is fully funded, that can help to with the whole calculation to determine the blended rate. And again, just getting different scenarios of what you would have to contribute. We are seeing some school districts with all the COVID money and everything around that have had some extra funds and being able to put some additional money into OPEB, which is probably going to get them into more of a blended rate and really help to drive down the liability, which is always a good thing from a financial standpoint. That's really about it for that slide. Elizabeth, if you could turn to the next one, maybe beat me there. The teachers and eligible administrators are part of the Mass Teachers Retirement System. That liability is funded by the Commonwealth. The liability for the district with the Commonwealth is $44.8 million, and they contributed $5.5 million on behalf of the district as of June 30th, 2021. That's noted in the footnotes to the financial statements. That's a required disclosure. Just wanted to highlight that. And then the remaining teachers that are not eligible for MTRS are in the Hampden County Regional Retirement System, and the liability with that retirement system was $12.3 million, which was a $900,000 decrease from the prior year. No change in the discount rate from the prior year, and the funded ratio of the system went from 50% up to 54%. So that's always good to see an increase in the funding ratio. Then the next slide here is on audits of federal awards. This is required for any entities that expend more than $750,000 in federal funds in a fiscal year. The district expended $2 million in FY21. And that money was mainly for child nutrition, special education, coronavirus relief, and then just other educational programs. We had to test the special education cluster as a major program. We didn't have any findings. We were able to issue an unmodified opinion, which again is the best you can get. No deficiencies in internal control were noted, no findings, no question costs. So that was a clean report, best results that you can get for that audit. And, that's the last slide.
Since we're in a school, a grading system of Mr. Presnell's team, there would be an A or an A+, I believe, from what you've read.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any qualms with that.
Awesome. I have one question that we had brought up here a while ago, and since I've got you here, I thought it might be worth asking. In the management letter, you've got current year comments and prior year comments. If the prior year comments, are they, if they're not mentioned in the current year, does that mean they're no longer a concern? Or you just didn't bring them up because you addressed them last year?
So the way we do it is if you see a prior year comment that still has a continuing recommendation,
Yeah,
then we don't consider that to be fully resolved. But if there's no continuing recommendation, then we would consider that to be fully resolved. So the first one, there's no continuing recommendation on page 4, so I would consider that fully resolved. The second one does have a continuing recommendation, so there's still a little bit more work to do on that one. And same thing for the third and the fourth one.
so with number 2, the cash and investment policy.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any sort of cheat sheets or recommendations as to how we would be able to actually solve that? Have you found, I'm assuming we're not the only school district that you guys may work with. Is there a template that we could use to actually get this issue off the board?
There is, but Steve, tell me if I'm wrong. I believe that you already have a draft, right? And it's just needs to go before the school committee, or you're still reviewing it?
We have a couple of very different drafts that we're working from. One is probably overkill for our purposes, and the other is a little deficient. So trying to take both of those and come up with something that meets really our needs is what we've been struggling with. So I know our chairman is going, Mr. Stevenson sits on the finance committee as well, and has gotten some discussion in recent weeks. I know when we've attempted to find kind of, not have to reinvent the wheel, attempted to find another district out there, a regional district that has something that closely resembles what our needs would be in a cash and investment policy, we've come up dry. We're working the listserv and reaching out to colleagues. So I think what Rob is asking is, have you come across something that's that you found to be adequate or fits the bill?
Yeah, I mean, what I tend to see is that there's templates out there, and a lot of them seem to be pretty similar from one school to the other, but we can definitely grab a couple from some of the other school districts that we do and send those over and see if those look like something that might fit what your needs are a little better than you have.
That would be fantastic.
Okay, yeah, happy to do that.
Okay.
Super.
I have a question or two. Does anybody else have a question for auditors? And I think I ask this every year, but forgive me if I asked you guys this last year. The GASB pronouncements, anything new coming down the pike, and if so, what would be the impact or implications for the district?
The only one that's coming down the pipe that might impact you is the one GASB 87 that's related to leases, and all that really does is changes the way operating leases were looked at in the past. There used to be operating leases and capital leases. Well, operating leases are essentially going away, and you're either going to have a lease or you're not. And if you have a lease, then it's going to be a capital lease, which means you'd capitalize the asset and you'd have the liability on the books. And so I don't know if you entered into any new leases, but we'll discuss that with you when we're out there doing the audit. We'll take a look at them and see if they fit the criteria, and if they do, then we'll talk to you about recording those on the financial statements.
Yeah, our fleet of student devices are all leased devices. So we have probably 1,000 computers, 1,200 computers that. But yeah, okay, we'll get into the details on that when you guys are out here.
Okay.
And then secondly, with the influx of all the coronavirus federal money, the pandemic relief money, is that going to change the focus relative to the CFA? We've been concentrating your efforts around special ed, but the big money now is ESSER grants and some of the other COVID money. Is that going to shift the focus over to those?
So it depends on what the expenditures are in those grants. Like, we have to basically take a look at all of the grants and do a risk assessment. But once they get over $750,000 in a year in expenditures, if they haven't, if that's the first time they've hit that threshold, then they have to be audited as what they call a major program. And that means we have to go through like all the compliance requirements. So if you have something that has not exceeded that threshold in the past, but it's going to exceed it this year, then yes, we would have to, do all the compliance testing related to that. And then something like a special education, where we've done that, previously, then we could basically substitute one for the other.
Okay. That's kind of what I was driving at. Is it going to kind of replace, or is it just like doubling up the effort and involvement on federal?
If it works out the way we hope it will, we'll just end up having to replace. And sometimes we do have to double up depending on
Okay.
the way things fall. But looking at the level of expenditures and everything, I think we're probably just going to be able to replace like one for one, depending on the population of everything.
So what you're saying is nothing over 749. And then we're
Right,
good.
yep, keep it all below 749.
That's the new magic number, Steve.
Right.
40.
I'll remember
That's
that.
it.
749 and put the brakes on.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, our
Really
pleasure.
appreciate the information.
Oh, thanks for having us. We, like I said, appreciate the opportunity to meet with you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thanks for
Thanks,
being here.
Elizabeth.
Good job.
Trying to
Yeah,
find my.
have a good night.
See
Thank you very
soon.
much.
Okay.
All right. Next up. School handbook changes. We're on to next year already. Who's up first? Mr. Pescatelli? You up first? Yeah.
Am I welcome to take a seat?
You absolutely can take a seat.
I hope everyone had the opportunity to get the revised version of the memo. I had to send it this afternoon. I apologize for tardiness on that. But we did take, you'll see a lot of these revisions that we're doing are to maintain consistency as best as we can. We do have differences at the three schools, but to try to maintain consistency across the entire district where possible. And some of the edits are very quick and easy fixes. Some of the additions are just very straightforward. I do not believe any, in our opinion, any significant changes that need to be discussed, but if you have any, I do want to note, Chairman Stevenson had already gave me one more edit. So I'll acknowledge that. We do have to put in for our athletic director being changed, and at this point, it's a TBA. It's that individual is unaccepted at this point.
Super. That was the only thing I went through and found that was.
Are there any questions?
So mine was just with regard to, as we move forward, and as we sort of do a deep audit of our own school committee policies and kind of tease out policy from procedure. And, as we kind of clean house with our policies and then decide what should go into the individual school handbooks, like, are you the kind of the point person that we should be, the policy sub should be in communication with, like, hey, this is gonna have to be updated for the future and stuff like that? Okay.
Guilty. Yeah.
Lucky you.
It's an exciting position to have.
It's like passing that book.
That's why he's still in the shirt and tie.
All right.
Any
All right.
questions? That's it.
Well, I mean, you did a great job. You got everything here on the, we could probably look and find some.
No, you don't need that. That's perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks for the time, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Just run for the door.
I'll wait.
Mrs. Carrier.
I'm
sorry.
Went on the agenda.
I'm just going from high school to middle school.
It does, well, that's it.
It's okay. Go right ahead.
Jumping around.
All right, so mostly it's updated, like cover page numbers. We did remove the no mask, because we don't have a mask requirement, so there was something in our handbook from last year that did say about needing to wear masks, so that's been removed. And then a lot of it's our, well, one other thing I'll mention, we had an update about animals in school to include verbiage with the policy, which will be on the district website. And the page 12 edit will no longer happen now. We just found out tonight that we don't need to have the student signature for the due to Title I home contact. So at least at elementary level, we get the parent signature for the handbooks. The kids can't read them. So we won't change that on our form to be signed by families. And everything else is really district policies with the changes that you've been doing, resending and rewording, reworking, updating. So that takes the primary component of our changes is policy updates.
Keep you busy. There'll be more to come.
Okay, well, we don't put them all in our handbook, so like, that helps. Do you have any questions?
Are you it's just going over real quick. Are you the only one that has the calendar in the handbook?
No, they all.
Oh, they all do? Okay. Maybe in a different spot?
No, they're in the front,
pretty
but
standard,
because of the way the pile's created.
Okay.
Added back in it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was just something that caught my eye. I'm like, well, wait a minute. They're all in there. All right,
All right,
super.
thank you.
Anybody got any other questions? It passed. All right, Miss Carey, we got a whole bunch of questions for you. I'm joking. We rolled dice and we.
And I lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our changes and which everyone else have made, basically policy changed. The only changes that were specific to the building are drop off and pick up, and that's really more reflective of our change since COVID. Putting in the handbook, our meals, there was a little bit of change in how students do that. But again, it's more procedural stuff that we had changed due to COVID and have kind of liked some of the changes we've made and are keeping things.
What is your new drop off pickup?
So we are doing the buses over here, and we do the loop is for 5th and 6th grade, and we do 3rd and 4th over on the side. So we used to have years ago, the kids would just come out the door and go to the parking lot.
Yep.
And it was crazy. So now we do the loops and the kids go right into their parent car and the parents stay in the car. It's much safer. Much safer. And we use the computerized system where it calls the room and sends the students down. So that starts the first groupings that come down. It's pretty impressive.
So you've got limited people in the halls all the time?
Yes, yep. And the buses are the same way. When buses arrive, it calls the room, it comes up on the whiteboard, and the bus 7 is here. Kids have all.
And the parents have like something you put in
Wow.
share with your students number.
Really? Yes, we
So
enter
like my
those.
kids at Woodland both have the same number. It's on like that.
Yep. And if a parent decides they want to go to a different door, it comes up differently, so the child would know if they usually go to this door but decide to go to that door for whatever reason, it would tell the child to go to that door.
So you have a number in the car,
Yes.
and then how's that number read and put into your system?
So we have
Someone
staff
comes
who
to
do it on an iPad or their phone, and I actually did it the other day. We type them in usually, but we can actually have a QR scan.
Yeah.
And I had never done it, so I just thought, I wonder if this really works. And sure enough, you could just walk over and use your phone and just like scan and not even type them in. It's pretty impressive.
And you guys have been doing this all year?
Yeah, we started it
From
last year with
last year.
COVID. Mhm.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah, with the loop out here, it's really great because we can fill a ton. It's a little more difficult with the 3rd and 4th because we don't have the room, but we can usually like load 4 to 5 cars at once with kids. And then they pull up and the next step get into place. Those kids get in and then they go.
So have you ever timed to see how quickly it takes you to get everybody through?
We have not timed, but I can tell you that most days we're done before dismissal starts, if that makes sense. Yeah, so people will get into line and we'll start entering them early and teachers will turn on their boards and kids will pop right up
And so if those kids are ready, instead of like waiting for a bell, they'll be like, oh, yep, my parent is here, and they'll go. And so most days and then we do an all call after a certain point, we say, okay, everyone come down, because now the parents are coming so quickly that we don't even have time to wait for the kids to walk down. So we're able to just fill and go. So we do an all call. So there are days when at 2:43, we have all of our pickups done. It's
Holy
fast.
smokes.
It's fast. Once we start and the kids start to walk out, it's like, and the parents are great at it. They pull around, they keep going, everyone pulls up, and it's just this
Beginning year, we
constant.
got like a time frame, like your last name, my last name begins with K, so the whatever block I'm in, you should come during this 10-minute window. I mean, I don't do it, my kids take the bus, but like.
Yeah, we don't even have to use the window. We did during COVID to try to
There's a
spread it.
lot of
and we
people
don't
be
even
in
have
there.
to. It's.
The Woodland one will come up towards the rec center, too many kids.
Can you do that down at Woodland too?
Yeah.
Obviously, for us, it takes a little bit longer to get kids out because you're opening car doors, gotta get in a car seat.
Yeah, we get them trained up for third grade.
The preschooler parents, unless it's changed, don't get like the pre-printed thing, because you have like, right, you have to get out of your car with the preschooler. And they get dismissed for the rest of the school anyway.
Our kids, because they can get in the car, they're like, it's fine.
We haven't talked about this
Yeah.
in this year since I've been on, so sorry if I'm asking, but it's
It is.
very impressive.
Yeah, it's amazing to see. Like, we'll have a line before we start entering them, and it'll go down to the street a little bit, and the kids will start coming out. And once they start coming out, it's like, we'll move 10 to 15 cars will just all boom, pull out.
All I can think of is like the McDonald's drive-through.
It is.
Similar.
It is.
You see the
And we're all
clock
like,
running
move
on
up,
the
move
wall.
up. We're like, the little ladies at the drive-through, we're like, move up, move up, move up, right up to the cone. Come on, move up. And the cars keep moving and we keep filling them. Yep.
You ever see us when we park the cars for the motocross? It's very similar to that.
Yes.
It's quite a production. Well, this looks fantastic. Anybody have any questions? All right,
All right.
thank you so much. All right. Jenny,
So I'm here tonight to present to you a proposed ESL teaching assistant job description. Sorry, I'm still getting over COVID.
everybody move down.
So,
Can you
I'm
get
not
your
gonna-
presentation out via Zoom? No.
I'm sure she's followed the recommended guidelines.
So it was brought to my attention that we did not
We have 5 people on.
No, John would have texted us if he was like, hey, I can't hear you.
Audio's back. It was gone, but now it's back.
Okay.
There you go.
How long were we out for?
15, 20 seconds.
Oh.
Jenny
Jenny just said she made a job description because we needed it. That's why. So this is a better description of what these ladies are doing.
correct.
Fantastic. Awesome. Super. Anybody have any questions?
What grade levels do these individuals service?
Depends on where the need is.
Got it, yeah.
So the ESL teachers will look at their schedules, and there are regulations around the amount of minutes of language instruction that have to happen based on different levels of that the English learners are at. And so they will place the tutors sort of where they're needed based on where they put themselves to provide the direct instruction. It changes every year.
And how many ESL teachers do we have?
we have 2.8. And then we have the 2 part-time assistants.
Got it. Thank you.
When does a point something become a full-time? Is it 0.8?
0.8 is here. It's currently filled by Leslie Clark Yvonne. And it was just, I think that it was originally 1.8 when I started here, and I added an extra 1 full-time position. It's honestly, Leslie is working full-time.
I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, like, when does a point become full-time? Is it 80% and above? Is that a full-time position, or is it a full number, like a 1 and a 2 and a 3 or?
I honestly don't know how it was decided that it was just a 0.8, but I will say that 0.8, I just had to complete an audit of our ELE program with self-assessment. And one of the things that I had to speak to was how staffing levels were decided. So I suspect that when the state arrives in the fall, and they'll be with us next year, they'll be able to look at what we're currently, how we're currently staffed, and if they have any questions about us being understaffed or whatever, they'll address it with us at that
But
time.
this job description is for the 2 part-time ESL teachers.
That's for the ESL teachers,
Correct.
not for the ESL teachers, the assistants.
So the assistants, okay, and then the teachers, we have 2.8 FTEs.
Correct.
Okay, and they comprise of 2 full-time and 1 part-time? Or
2 full-time and 1.8.
0.8. So 0.8, think of it as like a 4-day leave position.
understood, but is
It's a
that
5-day
considered a
position.
full-time position or a part-time position? It's gotta be considered something.
1.0 is FTE.
Absolutely, understood.
I don't
And that's-
believe
and that's
any-
you-
I don't
and that-
think all that is, yeah.
It's not-
Anything else is part-time.
That's what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm just trying to figure that out, because some places, if you get above a certain number of hours a week, their full-time is a range of time. Just trying to figure out whether you get part-time or full-time person.
That I cannot answer you. I just
Okay.
know that she
It's a
works
0.8.
0.8.
Well, then we have a 0.8 position. Okay, we'll figure that out.
Okay,
Thanks.
that it?
Yep.
All right, thank you, guys.
You gonna leave? Well, you got homework to do.
I got homework.
Oh, my gosh.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks, Marissa. All right. We are now on to our policy section. We have 3rd readings tonight for 3 policies. You good?
I think so.
You think?
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see. What is there gonna be, like some sort of judgment that comes out later that we're not?
No.
Okay, so we've got 3rd reading for our student submission to educational surveys and research, ILD. Anybody have any questions on that one? Right? We have our 3rd reading for non-discrimination policy, including harassment and retaliation. Anybody got any questions on this one? John, you good on this one?
Yeah.
Just checking. There.
Still can hear you,
That's
still
your
good.
5-minute test, John. I'm just checking. 3rd one for 3rd reading is anti-discrimination, anti-harassment policy and grievance procedures. You know, I should change that to ABCAP, right? Genesis thing. ACEB. Anybody any questions on this one? No. All right. On we go. Mr. Presnell, we're gonna ask you to pitch hit again.
Sure, yeah.
If- So incline. Pinch. Pinch. Pinch.
End of the game.
I've been saying it wrong for 50 years.
Forget that, you get an update on the game?
Yeah, they must have won by now.
Well,
It's been a while.
it was 3-2 in the.
Yeah, I just checked the website. They won.
Yeah.
I was intrigued after you said that, so I had to look.
Someone on the game is,
Congratulations.
beneficial.
To the Eastern Connecticut Division III national champions.
Didn't lose a game in the tournament.
That's awesome. And I think they only lost 3 the entire
Whole
year.
season, yeah.
Wow,
Amazing.
that's great.
I am. I am. It's for Aiden, AN or EN.
AN, I believe.
Fantastic. All right, so let's go.
Ready?
Yep, we're ready. Action items.
All right, move to approve the contract agreement between MASC, Massachusetts Association of School Committees, and the Southwick Tallinn Granville Regional School Committee for a comprehensive policy review. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Anybody have any questions on this? This is for our big lift next year for our policies.
And when do we commence this? Will that start in September or will we bringing them in?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna, basically what they're looking for is we've already got the contract that's been sent in for us to be able to look at. We'll get those signed. We've already, from the budget perspective, now all the budgets have been approved by all three towns. That money has been allocated, so my goal would be for us to get the contract signed, send them the first payment, and we will start working with Liz at the beginning of the year. I'm sure she'll come in and we'll have a preparatory type meeting as to how we want to tackle this and hold on. Okay,
Sounds good.
all right, fantastic. All right, can I get we'll do a roll call vote to approve the motion. Pam,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Rob's a yes, motion passes 700.
Move to adopt policy ILD, student submission to educational surveys and research. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any questions on this? This is our policy that we just looked at. All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Pam,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Rob's a yes, motion passes 700.
Move to approve revised policies AC, non-discrimination policy, including harassment and retaliation, and ACAB, anti-discrimination, anti-harassment policy, and grievance procedure. Recommended.
So
Second.
Any questions on these two?
No.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote to accept. Pam,
yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Rob's a yes, motion passes 700.
Be it resolved that the Southwick Tallinn Granville Regional School Committee hereby extends its congratulations to Patricia Bissett in recognition of 23 years of teaching excellence. We hereby convey our sincere appreciation for your valuable efforts, dedicated service, and assistance rendered, which has enhanced the image of the Southwick Tallinn Granville Regional Schools. And a record of these resolutions shall be permanently entered into the minutes of this school district. That's recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Fantastic. We almost want to have the little clown horn here for her. For her to be done. No, that's fantastic. I think two, if not all three of my kids are. No, she was here. All right, we'll get a vote to approve this. Pam,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Rob. Is it yes?
John's me.
John's like a question,
Like you're trying to
yes?
wake a kid up, be like,
Motion
John,
passes
read number 4 for me, please.
700.
Right one here?
Yeah.
Okay. Be it resolved that the Southwick Tallinn Granville Regional School Committee hereby extends its congratulations to Colleen Smith in recognition of 32 years of school nutrition excellence. We hereby convey our sincere appreciation for your valuable efforts, dedicated service, and assistance rendered, which has enhanced the image of the Southwick Tallinn Granville Regional Schools. And a record of these resolutions shall be permanently entered into the minutes of this school district.
So moved.
Second.
All right, 32 years. Wow, that's a long time.
Yes. It's a great job. It's gonna be tough to replace.
That usually happens when somebody's been there that long. All right, we'll take a vote to approve. Pam,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Rob's a yes, motion passes 700.
Be it resolved that the Southwick Tall and Granville Regional School Committee hereby extends its congratulations to Susan Pellegrinelli in recognition of 34 years of teaching excellence. We hereby convey our sincere appreciation for your valuable efforts, dedicated service, and assistance rendered, which has enhanced the image of the Southwick Tall and Granville Regional Schools. And a record of these resolutions shall be permanently entered into the minutes of this school district. Recommended.
So moved.
Second,
Holy smokes.
I had her.
Do they-
That's how long she's been there, the high school.
Gym teacher, right?
Yeah, she was also the field hockey coach.
So now no more feeling.
No, for me, I never played anyway, but I loved her.
Oh, wow. 34 years. Well, congratulations. Let's take a vote to approve this. Pam,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Rob's a yes, motion passes 7-0-0.
Okay, and be it resolved that the Southwick Tall and Granville Regional School Committee hereby extends its congratulations to Nadine Ward, also known as Sue Ward, in recognition of her 34 years of paraprofessional excellence. We hereby convey our sincere appreciation for your valuable efforts, dedicated service, and assistance rendered, which has enhanced the image of the Southwick Tall and Granville Regional Schools. And a record of these resolutions shall be permanently entered into the minutes of this school district. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Another one, 34 years. Congratulations. Thank you for all your help.
Woodland, right? Yeah,
Love
she
my
got Woodland,
sword.
right?
Yeah.
Wow, fantastic. All right, let's vote to approve this. Pam,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Rob's a yes. Motion passes 7-0-0.
Move to approve the ESL teacher assistant job description. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on this? Okay, let's take a vote to approve. Pam,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Ted, Pat,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Rob's a yes.
Was that a
Motion
test?
passes 7-0-0. I'm just checking, John, to make sure that you're not waiting.
So it is our
Well,
pretty
we-
good board.
We're gonna skip it, or do we have to take a motion to table it? Oh, okay.
Move to approve home education plan HS-2223-01. Recommended.
So moved.
Second. This is already for next year.
Yep.
They're on top of it. Good for them.
Can we approve it twice? Do they get like an extra bonus point for sending this in so early? I mean, this is great.
Good for them.
All right, let's take a vote to approve. Pam,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Rob's a yes, motion passes 7-0-0.
Move to approve the Southwick Regional School Boys and Girls Cross Country fundraiser, a car wash for the summer of 2022. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? We only got one of these. Usually when these come, there's like 45 of them come at the same time.
They're just thinking summer.
All right,
It's a
Wait till
possible.
September.
we'll take a vote to approve here. Pam,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Rob's a yes, motion passes 7-0-0.
Move to approve the Southwick Rec Center facilities use application to use the school grounds for the motocross 338 national event parking on July 8th, 2022, and potentially July 9th, 2022.
So
Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Anybody have any questions on this?
No.
Just for full disclosure, since I am on the executive committee over at the rec center, I will be abstaining for this vote. So we'll do a vote to approve. Pam,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Rob is an abstention. Motion passes 6-0-1. All right. Superintendent's report.
I think she's probably just going to report that.
Her
son's
report
a
is-
national
Her
champion.
report is
What school does her son go to?
Eastern Connecticut.
Oh, Eastern, okay.
Yeah, he's their #1 pitcher and they've just won, they should have like one of those Sports Illustrated sort of videos that go up now? If you just won the Division III, maybe. All right,
So the only thing I would report is we received last night in Granville our third unanimous vote on the FY23 operating budget. So that all went very smoothly. We did have some questions, but in the end, everybody at the annual town meeting supported the budget. We also received approval for our borrowing authority for our fiscal year 23 capital improvement plan. So we can move forward with that project.
It was a close call.
It sure was. I was sweating it out.
Yeah, that we had to go to a hand vote, took a while to count them, and it was particularly close. So I say this every year, folks, and it's not to be forgotten that Granville has a hard time approving capital. Just keep that in mind. Always keep that in mind, even at the lowest capital budget we have ever put forth, Granville has a hard time.
is there, Pam, do you think there's a way that we could preemptively sort of help, like, eliminate some of that concern?
I'm not, if I can just interject something, an observation that I had, that we had widespread support from the select board, all members of the select board, all members of the finance committee.
Yes.
Other town officials, everybody raised their hand very high and strongly supported the article. But it came from within the negative votes came from directly from within the attendees.
And I think, first of all, the unanimous support from the town officials is a very good thing.
Yeah.
It hasn't always been that way. So that is, I feel, representative of a more positive relationship that this district has formed over time. Since we regionalized and there was some bad blood there. I think that the audience was larger than normal for other issues. And I think honestly may not have understood that, there are certain improvements that have to go into capital and just can't ever be put in an operational budget. And therefore, if there are these improvement jobs that need to get done, we have to put them somewhere, and this is where it goes.
I think the way the article was moved as well, and that there wasn't an opportunity for discussion to explain that their portion of that $200,000 figure they were approving is really only 13%, and that that none of that would impact their assessment in fiscal year 23. They won't see the impact of that until FY24, and it would be part of the non-discretionary portion of their assessment.
And we explain that every year. I think it needs to be explained every year because you never know who you're gonna get in the room.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like with what we're going to be tackling the finance committee this year, we're potentially looking at the grounds improvement. If we know that there is reservation or maybe questions, is there a better way to tackle that where it might help smooth? You don't think so, Tim?
No,
It's always a hard.
because it's, what it is the capital, it's capital. I mean,
It gets compounded over the years.
And
And you've got a lot of people that are older, paying a lot of taxes. And it's tough. It's tough for them, and I understand it.
we don't have that problem in Tallinn because we understand what capital is.
No, but that's what I mean. So if it's a question of understanding.
You can't explain it. They'll never accept it because it's debt. See,
All right, we can certainly bring this to finance committee.
I think you have to make an
I'm
effort
sure
to educate.
need to get, there's always a way to clear things up, to make things better understand.
And explain why two towns, there's not an issue, and one town there is, and it's generation type of thing. You just gotta wait it out because every year it gets a little better. Because some people are dying. Well,
Let's talk about being kind.
Not sure that's a strategy.
Ed, you're gonna start a war here.
Communication.
I don't want to do the strategy of attrition. That's not the way that
I'm just,
I want to really look at this. And for somebody who works with the older population,
all right.
I can tell you right now that there are ways to be able to explain things that people can understand. And if we don't put an effort forward, we're gonna be, we're gonna be looking at a pretty, yeah, but that's fine. But if we know that the challenge is there, if we walk them through and kind of, maybe we need to have some informational meetings as we go through the year.
We're gonna have to do that anyway. That's.
Yeah. All right. So, thank you.
So, yeah, so we had the.
So 6 or 6 is basically bottom line, it's all that matters.
I got it.
All right. Subcommittees. Now. I don't know how we've got this on here, but this is probably the right time to do this, since we reorganized or re-voted here from our executive group. Does anybody want to make any changes to where they are from subcommittee side? Is everybody happy where they're at?
I'm good where I'm at.
Okay. So John, are you okay with your subcommittee assignments right now?
Yeah, and I think typically I've said in the past that just, if you can, obviously I'll send you something, or anybody can send you something if they feel like they want to change, and we can figure it out, whatever.
All right, sounds good. I just want to put that out there for everybody.
Yep.
Right, meeting to do that. Okay, updates. Do we have a negotiations update? No, ongoing.
We were supposed to have negotiations this week.
Okay.
Supposed to be yesterday, but I rescheduled, right?
Yeah, there was nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I know that.
Huh?
Yeah,
It was
rescheduled.
Yeah.
So ongoing.
Later date.
We're still working through. Okay. Finance, we are in our summer hiatus.
Well,
I'm joking. I wanted to see what you would say. No, where are we at?
Well, we have a meeting scheduled for this Thursday. I'd like to recommend that we push that back to next Thursday. That'll give me an opportunity to give you guys a year-end forecast, which we said we wanted to do prior to the end of the fiscal year, so kind of know where we're ending.
You okay with that, Ted?
Yeah.
John, you okay with pushing that meeting to next Thursday?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm fine.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we'll set it up.
Awesome. And then
Thank
did we get any return call from our consultant that we tried to reach out to?
I have not yet, and I will follow up with him. On the finance committee issue, we did at our meeting just last week, I believe it was, when we spent the whole meeting discussing food service and the implications of returning back to a paid environment. Mr. Littlebridge, Director Littlebridge, was at a SNA, School Nutrition Association meeting over the weekend, at which the director, I guess his title is Director of DESI's Student Nutrition Program, was present, and seemed to be giving signs of optimism around a bill that would pass at the state level, continuing the universal free meals arrangement that we have, at least in Massachusetts, whether USDA does something. So that was a positive sign. It's not a done deal yet, but he was, the fact that he was willing
Usually
to
that's not
mention it.
coming up unless they have a pretty good
Exactly.
feeling that it's going to move through.
Yeah. That was
That's awesome.
worth noting.
The collaborative, Erica, we got anything?
Yeah, cool things are happening with the buses moving.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they have a 3-year window from when they took over our bus transportation to when they're going to be moving the buses. So the parking lot, which they needed to house the buses, the land has been purchased. It's in Agawam on Shoemaker Lane. And now they're trying to hire a architect to come in to do like the they're gonna pave it, so they want to make sure it's not too close. There's a stream involved, so the environmental stuff on that type of thing. So that's coming pretty quickly, actually.
The chairman of LPVEC is retiring.
Really?
Yes, so they're going through their processes also of the board. Yeah.
Okay.
So the chairman of your board,
Correct.
wow.
And
He's
that's
been there
interesting, and I'm
forever.
not, I don't know if I should bring this up or not, but it was said in a board meeting. So the director of LPVEC, Roland Joyle.
Yeah.
Came to the board and asked if he could re-up his contract before the contract was up.
So renew it
Correct.
while the current chairman is there.
Is that why he did it?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
And so the board was not favorable to that.
Interesting, very interesting.
They felt like it was very strange because teachers don't get to do that. Nobody else gets to do that.
Right,
So they were like,
right.
well, why would we have the director do that also? So.
Probably just from a familiarity perspective.
Yeah, he just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
he was all set.
I got something in an email. We've got our annual reelection meeting coming up in a couple of weeks. A student fight for the my side.
Oh, for
the
your
collaborative
side,
for the
okay, so you
corporation
got it.
side. We meet once a quarter and we electronically sign some warrants. It's not very left on that. Policy, we've got a meeting coming up before our final school committee meeting of the year. Obviously now that we've approved the MASC thing, we'll be kind of tying up loose ends, and then I'll probably reach out to Liz just to figure out how we want to roll that out going forward next year, because it will be a heavy lift, but from what we've seen, it's certainly sorely needed to get these policies updated from 05. Buildings and grounds, anything?
Not really. I mean, what you're gonna see is everything getting emptied, classrooms.
Yeah.
You know, it's the annual cleaning.
Everything into the hallway.
Then it comes out and it goes other places. Things move.
Liaison, ILT. I know you guys had a meeting.
We did a long meeting today, actually. The purpose of it was really to review Title I data. So the couple interventionists were there and gave some reports on both Woodland and Powder Mill. And for for English ELA, the use of DIBELS, focusing primarily on those kiddos that were initially below grade level. And kind of walking us through the data reports that showed their progress throughout the year, specifically the kids that the interventionists were working with. And the same thing for using iReady data for math. And then Beth Grady kind of talked about, what was working well, and what are some things to address for the future. And then we took a look at a couple of documents regarding obligations about family engagement associated with Title I. Those documents are housed in the handbook or will be in the future, basically about district, parental and student responsibilities. Am I pretty much summing it up? So, yeah,
Good job.
I was listening.
Wellness,
Oh, we're done for you.
we're all well.
Yeah.
Sped,
Nothing.
nothing. John, anything from the Vibrant Technology Committee?
I think I'm trying to think if it was since the last time we met that we got to meet the new IT director. Is that right, Pam?
Yes, I don't think we filled them in since we met him.
Yeah. Okay. So we got to Jenny and his name's escaping me now. Is it Garland?
Yes, Garland Green, is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So we were able to meet with him and get some initial introductions. Seems like a great hire. And we certainly invited him to come to the committee and discuss, and he's very open to that. So I think he starts
later,
1st of
right?
August.
Is that what you were telling me, John? Sooner than later that he'd like to come?
Yeah, I mean, I told him, feel free to get the lay of the land first. He was more than willing and eager to meet with us and talk about how we see things and how we, want to move forward with things.
All right, so maybe we can get him, Amy, on the agenda at the beginning of the school year next year. Might be nice to get sort of an overall assessment of where we're at, what we're looking for.
Or maybe
Where do you
even
envision-
let him get his feet wet, so he knows where he's
Yeah.
at, kind of thing, like maybe
When
October,
does he
November.
start it now?
No, he doesn't
Okay,
start
August
until
1st.
Oh,
August.
okay.
August
all right.
1st. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the suggestion I gave to him was like we could wait.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
he needs a little more time than that, I think.
I think
Yeah,
that what
I agree.
he wanted to come early to sort of hear what your goals and plans were for that position before he settled
Oh.
himself into what, what he sees the position as. He'd like to hear from the committee about what your goals are at the outset of the school year.
So then maybe we can set him up at the beginning and then we can let him go and he can report back. Okay. All right,
Most important thing though is he's got an education background, so getting an IT director with that education experience is very rare, so that was a good find.
capital committee.
Zip. Good for the year.
How's our master plan going?
Survey is done.
8,000
Sure.
questions or 4? Where did you end up? Because I know last time you said there was
Wait, wait.
2 different divisions.
30.
Oh, not too bad.
So
From
like an iReady test.
No, I don't think it's gonna go like that.
It
From
doesn't give
from
you the,
54.
okay,
Yeah. Well,
it's more than 4, but less than 54.
let's say 30.
Are you happy with the survey?
Yeah, really. It's
So
fun.
who is the survey going to go out to?
Southwick residents,
Everyone?
everyone.
Via what? How are you getting it out?
So the survey will be done if you are computer savvy on the computer. We are going to offer it to the older citizens of the community via
Why'd you point at
paper, well, Rob had mentioned that.
Glad to hear
You
that.
know, we will set places to visit and then allow them to do it either with a provided laptop or on paper. We prefer not paper. Electronic is the route we're looking. And it'll go to every resident. You'll get a mailer with the link to it. We also have set up websites. So it is the it's Southwick2040.org.com. I'll get it to you. There's a Facebook page with master plan. You could Google the Southwick master plan and you'll find it. And it will direct you to that link.
So when does that survey go live? So
I'll let you know very soon. Yeah. We're pushing for another month or so.
all right. Legislative liaison up till later. I want to bring up to the committee, I'm going to request that we reinstate or re-add or whatever you want to technically call it, the sports liaison that we had a little while ago. It was the new athletic director coming on board. Mr. Trammell actually approached me and suggested, wanted to see if we could reinstitute that with the new athletic director, with us looking at doing something on the ground side. I did get a chance to touch base with Superintendent Willie. She thought that was a phenomenal idea. I certainly have no problem.
John was it the last?
John was it the last time. If you want it, John, you can have it. I certainly have no problem filling that role. You still there?
You're talking about the filling the athletic liaison stuff? I thought you guys had who you needed for that. If you
Yeah, no, we don't have one in there right now. Ryan just said you were in there before. I was,
Remember when COVID and you were the sports?
oh yeah, I mean that was a very that was a very temporary thing. I mean we can I'm certainly like I thought though, Rob, you had a group of it was you and Pat and
oh no.
That's an ad hoc.
That's sort of the ad hoc committee. I want to reinstitute the sports liaison.
oh okay, I got you.
Looking in conversations with Joe, what we'd probably like to do is have like at least quarterly meetings with the principal, this liaison and the athletic director, just to make sure that everybody is on the same page. And if there's any issues from the school committee, so we'll know about them in an efficient time frame, and it's just gonna be more of a communication type setup.
Yeah, I'm happy to let you do that, Rob, if you want to do it.
That's fine.
Yeah, I have a few things that I'd like to convey to the new athletic director in terms of priorities that I'd like to see in his coaches. So if you're gonna be that person, I'd
Yeah.
certainly share that with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I think as we get the new year started up, I think having the new athletic director come in front
I
of
think
us.
so,
I think is a
I would
very-
like to meet.
Yeah.
Them and.
Yep, and I did, I think you guys know, but I talked to Jen about all of our sort of executive level positions, having some sort of routine annual conversation with us at the school committee level. When Jenny comes in quite frequently. I'd like to see Robin come in at least on an annual basis, just to give us an update as to what's going on. I mean, our principals come in. The one thing that I know I've talked to superintendent about, and certainly will probably come up when we do our we'll call it in fall. Our retreat. With.
Or something.
Yeah, well, the end of summer.
I picked the menu and stuff.
Talk to the man about the menu. What I think, obviously, one of the recurring subjects is obviously communication a lot. And what I talked to the superintendent about is, from an administrative perspective, if we're gonna have presenters come in that are going to present any sort of recommend any sort of changes to the day-to-day activities of the school, whether it be eliminating honors level classes or doing something, that when they're coming in their presentations, my request that Superintendent Willard said she passed on to them was that they come with doesn't have to be lengthy, but a detailed communication plan as to what they're going to do to communicate these changes. And from a time perspective, what's going out, when it's going out. And that will be a sort of a request from us that they come with that information. And if they don't have it, then what they're looking to have done will get tabled. And then they can come back at the next meeting with the communication plan, so that we're trying to make sure that we are getting this information out to the parents in a timely manner and with all the information that they need. So that's sort of the role in that sports liaison too, sort of make sure that we've got all this information coming through in a timely manner. So Amy, do we have to take a vote on this, or is this a general, just a liaison appointment, right?
I think it was already voted.
I know, usually it's on the thing, but it's not on here this time, so I guess we're just gonna meet into that athletic liaison.
I'll be your backup if you're on vacation.
We didn't disband it, I know that. Okay. That's fine. All right, public comment, we don't. You want any public comment? Yeah, no one left for public comment. I will. We're on page 3.
Yeah.
All right, old business. Anybody got any old business?
I got something, I guess, straddles the line of old and new business.
I think this is more new business, John, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I think that, the communication that went out a couple weeks ago, the incident that happened at the high school, I think, I don't know how the rest of the committee feels, but I have some concerns certainly about how we handle those types of situations going forward. And obviously with Jen not being here tonight, it's, probably not worth having a full discussion, because there's some things that I think I have the information on that, she would be able to answer the questions and validate some things, but I think it's worthy of bringing that to a discussion at the next meeting about that situation.
I agree.
Yep, I think I think obviously I agree with you, having this conversation without superintendent here is not really gonna get us anywhere. So Amy, if we can put this on as maybe we can just discuss it during the superintendent's report next time? Or do we need to have it as a educational?
So, I mean, I guess, what are we discussing?
Well, I think,
I mean,
I get maybe more
About
on the
senior
lines of,
prank is what
for-
we're talking about?
yeah, it. Sorry, what?
Wasn't a senior.
Well, I think.
No, we're
Well,
talking about
those
the
are
incident that
things that
happened
no.
before.
Interpretation of
Their,
an
Yeah,
emergency,
yeah.
right?
Right.
they were maybe
the
celebrating and it was
preparedness.
misinterpreted.
No, so I think you guys are talking about different things.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm not,
Yeah, I
I'm
think
talking
we're
about the racial incident that happened. This was before the senior prank.
Oh, right.
What's that?
All right.
Then yeah, I know.
So it happened at the high school.
So maybe she didn't get the email?
Probably.
Yeah.
So basically, a situation happened.
Or the
And
email was vague and I had no clue.
and an email went out to the parents of SRS students, notifying them that a situation had occurred, that it's under investigation. And then a second email went out later, just basically saying that further investigation had been completed. The initial interpretation of what the situation, the level of severity had kind of declined. It was basically misinterpreted. And I personally thought Joe sent out two excellent emails with very
Detailed.
very good information. And I think that the way it was addressed was very good. And I think that, he acknowledged the misinterpretation. I think the way that he handled it with the students, both initially when he thought it was at one level, and then the way he then handled it when he realized it was something different. I think they were both very well done. So I'm not quite.
I would just, the first email is the issue. The second email was fine. The first email was really misguided in several different ways. And I think even our legal stance would back that up.
And it left way for so much interpretation, and the articles that came out in papers and in blogs and in things like that, that's not how we want our school is to be reflected, not in any way, shape, or form. So what do you do with that?
Well, no, and I think it's certainly, it's probably, looking at the agenda, it's probably something that Jen can certainly address in the superintendent's report section. We're looking for a little bit of a clarification on procedures. What can we do going forward to make sure that there's not sort of a presumption of what happened while an investigation is going on?
Timing.
Yeah.
I think we have to have a kind of a post-mortem of what all happened so we can all understand how that got to where it got to and all the steps along the way. That's what I'd like to understand. And without Jen here, I want to make sure I have all the facts too before I, jump on things.
I meet with Jen next week. I can certainly make sure that we've got whoever needs to be here and here. But it's certainly, I certainly agree with John that I think it could have been handled in a better way that put out information as to where we were at the time without making assumptions as to where it might have gone or where it might be going preemptively. And we ended up having to walk back things. And I don't disagree with Pam, the second email was very well written. But I think we just gotta be very careful sending these things out with information that's not necessarily locked in stone as to what's going on. But all right, we'll put that on the agenda, John, and we'll have the superintendent and potentially Mr. Trammell here so that we can review it.
Sounds good.
All right. Yes, sir.
Finally, we have some great news coming. This weekend, Comcast is coming in and going to teach everybody in Tolland, what the plan is and everything else. We've gotten it down to the point where they're almost ready to turn it on.
Wi-Fi, internet?
The internet.
Okay.
Wow.
So the Comcast is coming in and basically going to tell us what's available and how's it going to work and all that good stuff.
So you're saying all of the students that live in Tallinn weren't able to use their computers and things like that when they go home?
That's correct. I mean,
Well,
you
some-
could get,
some-
you could get it, but it was very slow
Yeah.
and it wasn't.
Was it dial-up? Like-
It was, yeah, we had mostly dial-up, but now we're off, they did get us off of dial-up, but
Yeah.
it's still spotty and it depends on where you are and everything else. And,
Use like
no, in other words, what we've been dealing with, I guess the best way to put it is, I could tell you when kids got out of school and were hitting their games or whatever they were doing.
If you can, yeah.
Because-
Put it straight
Yeah,
on there.
I don't know, asshole, get off.
You know,
That happened during the pandemic too. all
So
of
the
a sudden,
bandwidth in Tallinn, what you're telling me is prior to this change.
what they've done, no, we're
zero.
getting, they've already installed most of the fiber optic stuff.
Oh, very good.
In other words, we'll be right up there with the.
So you will
rest
be
of the
able to
world.
get all
You'll
of
be able to
your
get everything
information for the
electronically.
meetings electronically now.
Yeah, if I want to,
Okay,
Oh.
all right.
but I need guidance. I mean,
That's your
I've been in this, you know, the land of the lost
Right.
for so long, I don't even know what's going on, and
Well, understood. That's great.
I'm not even sure if I'll be able to sign on to the system.
Oh, well, Ted will help you. We'll get you all set. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we'll take a roll call vote. Pam,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Rob's a yes, motion passes 700. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.